Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
Now, here is a motion picture film.
And now, ladies and gents, it's showtime!
To do the bimes.
Say hello to my little friend!
Go ahead. Make my day.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
I'll shove that bat up your ass and turn you into a popsicle.
Inconceivable!
Welcome to the All-American Spook Show podcast.
I'm sorry, boys. I'm afraid I can't do that. I'm afraid I can do that.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the All-American Spook Show podcast. I'm Josh and I'm joined here with Donnie.
Yo.
Tiana and the professor could not be with us tonight. They had some stuff going on, so hopefully they're back next week. But it's unfortunate because, you know, our latest Cult Corner was one. Actually, I nominated it, and you know, we the way we do Cult Corners, we all kind of throw some on a list. We spin the wheel, and then we eliminate, and then whatever's left basically is what we watch. So I nominated it, and we're watching Wet Hot American Summer. And it's unfortunate they're not here because, you know, I like to have all of us as much as we can here, right, to kind of bounce off each other. So it'd be interesting to see what their thoughts were on this one. But hopefully we can get their take on it at some point in the future, at least by the time we do the 6th anniversary show.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but which I guess now's as good a time as any to mention that. That's coming up. Before you know it, we're going to be here at Halloween. I mean, I know it seems a little early, but here we are finally now. We're on Labor Day. We're in the month of September. Dude, before you know it, we're going to be knee-deep in the spooky season, right? So,
yeah,
lots to look forward. Yep, that's what's going to happen.
Yep.
So lots to look forward to, including this Sunday night. If you're listening to this, and we encourage you to go check out aaspookshow.com, of course, as always, and we'll get into that in just a second. But on our YouTube channel, this Sunday night, September 8th, what time did we say? I think 8:30 this Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. East.
Yes.
We're going to be doing the live Spook Show Awards video cast, however you want to put it. We're going to be doing the video version of the 2024 Spook Show Awards over on our YouTube channel this Sunday night, September 8th at 8:30 p.m. I believe. You can go to our YouTube channel now, and it's already set up. It's already scheduled to go. So just double check me on the time. Pretty sure it's 8:30, but you'll want to join us for that. Now we will at a later date re-air the audio version. You know, we kind of have a more condensed audio version of the Spook Show Awards for those that don't want to necessarily sit through the whole thing. But we encourage you to come watch it live with us this Sunday night because you're going to get the whole picture. You're going to get all the fun this Sunday night, and that's the only way that you'll be able to see everything that goes down, including the Chookie, which is our annual memorial to all the animals that we've lost in the past year of the Spook Show. And you're gonna get to see the live premiere of this year's Kill Reel this Sunday.
That's always awesome.
Yeah, so lots of cool stuff there. So we definitely highly encourage you to go to our YouTube channel, and you can. I think you can go on there right now. You'll see it, and then you can let it notify you when we go live. So as soon as we go live Sunday, September 8th, it will notify you on your phone or whatever device, and you can watch along and comment and all that jazz. So lots of fun to be had. But like I said, you know, we encourage you to go check out everything at aaspookshow.com. We call that the center of the Spook Show universe. From there, you can go to our YouTube channel, but you can also listen to all of our past podcast archives. And of course, on our YouTube channel every month, just about every week, we have new content, including Grindhouse Gutter, Video Vortex, and Hammer Horror in Order. So we got lots going on over there. And of course, we encourage you to become a patron. Help out the Spook Show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/aaspookshow. Every month you'll get video minisodes that include the Library of the Professor. And you'll also get every month Craps for Peace Theater, which last month we just watched Junior. Donnie, you didn't have to be there for it. So
thankfully.
Yeah, you nominated it. So you were the lucky one. We have not tabulated the August poll winner just yet. So we can't announce here today what won, but that will, for the month, what we're going to watch in the month of September. but that will debut on our Patreon on Friday, September 27th at noon. That's when the new Crapster Piece episodes come out. Is usually generally, give or take, the last Friday of the month at noon. So you want to become a patron to listen to that, because that's the only way you're going to be able to hear us get tortured by whatever crap you voted for. So without any further build-up, we'll go ahead and toss to the trailer for Wet Hot American Summer.
This summer, take a trip back to 1981 with the special people who made summer camp unforgettable.
You guys aren't supposed to be out of your bunks. You're in trouble.
The camp director.
4 campers are stuck in the ropes course. I meant to tell you about that yesterday. Could you get to it now?
The counselors.
Wait for me, Abby Bernstein. Wait for me, my darling.
Wait. I just want to take off my shirt.
The kitchen staff.
Finish up the taters. I'm gonna go fondle my sweaters.
Come on, what? You said you were gonna go fondle your sweaters.
No, I didn't.
The water sports.
Hey, Andy, can I check out the Barbie bus?
Sure.
The nature hikes.
Out!
And of course, who can forget the sex, the muggings, the cover-ups, the malaria, the psychotherapy.
Hello.
And the friendships that last a lifetime.
We want you to be the guest of honor at our wedding next week.
From USA Films and creators of TV's The State.
A renegade piece of Skylab's heading right for the camp.
Oh, my God.
It could kill us all.
Janine Garofalo, David Hyde Pierce, Paul Rudd, Christopher Maloney, and Molly Shannon.
Andy, have you seen my swimming buddy?
I was busy.
It's your job to make sure kids don't drown. Where are we going?
To a big secret pizza party.
Wet, hot American summer.
All right, so there's the trailer for that. So, Donnie, is this the first time you've ever watched this movie?
So yeah, it actually is. I had never seen it before. You had actually nominated this for when we were doing Camp Spookshow.
Yeah, probably
2 summers ago.
Probably it would have been. I mean, you have to admit it would have been a perfect fit for that, obviously, right? I mean, meatballs, that kind of thing. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this has been nominated separately just for random Cult Corner episodes before too. I think
I believe
by myself
I
and or Will, I think in the past, because we don't always divulge what the nominees are to the public or whatever. But I'm pretty sure I know this has been nominated at least a time or two, and then it just never got selected until now. But so this is the first time you've watched. Now I've seen it before, but it's been a while. Like this came out in 2001. I want to say I probably saw it mid 2000s, give or take, and kind of forgot about it, moved on, and then I want to say it was. Let me pull that up real quick. It was 2015. Netflix revived it and kind of turned it into a franchise, believe it or not. They revived it, and they had an 8-episode prequel series over there, which I'm blanking on the name. It was Wet Hot American Summer First Day of Camp. First Day of Camp. So it's an 8-episode prequel series that actually goes back to when all these people first met each other at the camp. But the funny part is that it's the same actors for the most part playing their younger selves, even though they're like 10, 15 years older than they were when they made this movie. So that's kind of half the joke, right? Then a couple years later, in August of 2017, they made a second 8-episode sequel series called Wet Hot American Summer 10 Years Later. And that's obviously supposed to be what was kind of the running joke in this, right? That hey, in 10 years, we're going to meet back up. So this is based in the summer of 1991, that series. I'm pretty sure I saw that first series, First Day of Camp, but I never watched the second series 10 years later. So at some point I'll get around to that. But it's crazy though, when you watch that this actually did spawn a little bit of a franchise, but I would imagine it's because of this cast, right? It's got to be one of the biggest reasons why,
Yeah, this honestly, we'll kind of get into, kind of how I felt about it, but you can't knock the cast at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy. It's a stacked lineup.
Yeah, and I guess kind of virtually, I don't want to say, kind of unknown Bradley Cooper back then.
Yeah, I believe this was his film debut. if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I didn't dig hard into that, but I think I saw it somewhere on the surface that this was the first time he had done anything on film. Might have been in a video or something. I was going to pull it up real quick while we're talking, but let me see. Go back to 2001. Yeah, like apparently he was in an episode of Sex and the City in 1999, and then he was in a TV movie called Wall to Wall Records. God knows, never heard of it. And then this. So this was his film debut, Bradley Cooper, who goes on to become one of the, you could argue, one of the better actors of a generation, and has won, I believe, at least 1 or 2 Oscars, right? I know he's won at least 1 or 2. So, yeah, the dude has gone on to be, one of the more successful actors of a generation, and he starts on Wet Hot American Summer.
No doubt.
Go figure. But, yeah. So, I mean, but just beyond him, though, like you just start there. But he's not even, I mean, he's just one of the ancillary players in this thing. I mean, like Janine Garofalo, who had at the time was coming off of Saturday Night Live. David Hyde Pierce, who pretty sure he was knee deep, or maybe he had just finished up Frasier, right?
Yeah.
At this time.
Right
So
at the end.
those are probably your 2 biggest names at that moment in 2001, for sure. These are the 2 known faces. Everything else you probably don't know as well, but you've got Michael Showalter as Coop, Marguerite Moreau as Katie, Paul Rudd as Andy, Zach Orth as JJ, Christopher Maloney, who's been on 1,000 fucking episodes of Law and Order SVU and some other Law and Order stuff. He's the chef, the cook, Gene, in this movie.
Yeah.
80 Miles, who I remember from being one of the little sketch players on Conan. Late Night with Conan for years. He would always pop up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Molly Shannon as Gail. She was either this... I don't remember when her run on SNL was, but she's either in the middle of her run or just after her run on SNL at this point. The art teacher.
I think she
I don't remember where she's at. Maybe she was still on there? I'm not sure.
I think she was still on there maybe 2003, I'm guessing.
Okay, so she's probably still
Something
there
like
at
that.
this point. But yeah, either way, you remember her from SNL. Ken Marino is Victor. Jolo Truglio, who was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine and tons of other movies and TV shows and stuff, but hilarious dude. Michael Ian Black, same thing. A lot of these are obviously stand-up comedians and sketch comedians and stuff like that. Amy Poehler, another one that was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this was just before her run on SNL. Like a year or 2 later, she goes to SNL. Bradley Cooper, we just talked about. Marisa Ryan and Elizabeth Banks. I mean, she, once again, small role in this, but she goes on to tons of success and mostly in film, right? I mean, I think she's been in some TV stuff, but mostly in film. So, yeah, right. This is crazy. And it's just left and right. And even some of these other names, like maybe you don't recognize their names right offhand, but you recognize their faces. There's just tons of them in here. So, I mean,
yeah,
truly impressive, the cast that they were able to assemble. But most of these, there was it was a sketch comedy group called The State, which I believe there might even have been a show on MTV back in the mid-90s called The State. That's where a lot of these people came from.
Kind of almost sounds like maybe like the Second City.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but this one actually had like an MTV show,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just from that group, The State, that was in this, Michael Ian Black, that I just mentioned, Jolo Truglio, Ken Marino, the director, David Wayne, that they all came from that comedy troupe, The State. So clearly that's where the seeds were sown for this. And then, they all moved on to bigger and better things after that. But this, yeah, it's just, and that's probably the one thing in my mind that probably makes this such a cult favorite as it is, because I think critically and financially, this thing was a flop. Like, I don't think the critics loved it at all. It didn't make any money when it got any kind of release. But in the years since, probably because of this cast, it went on to a lot of success. Not to mention probably that nostalgia thing that they're clearly going for here, right? Like, because this is clearly an ode or a nod to Meatballs. What was that list that I saw? That, like, the movies that they were talking, like, kind of paying homage to were, here it is, Meatballs from 79, Little Darlings in 1980, Sleepaway Camp, which I guess I could see some of that here, right?
Yeah.
Different, but, obviously, 1983, and then Indian Summer in 1993. So that's what they were going for. Those were the movies that they were kind of spoofing or paying homage to. Meatballs, to me, feels like the biggest influence on this. we'll get into whether we loved it or hated it and all that like we normally do. I mean, but I think this makes it interesting for those reasons. For me, it didn't hit even as a first time watch. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, what is this? I think, I also think with a movie like this, you have to kind of be in the mood for it. You have to. I guess so. You either get it or you don't. Yeah, but I also think you have to be in a kind of silly mood. Because once again, like Meatballs, there's a lot of goofy, silly, over the top frat boy comedy in these type of movies. If you're not in the mood for that crap, you're probably not going to like this. But if you're predisposed to like that kind of stuff, to be honest, like I am, you're probably going to like it. Although this one is fucking, it gets weird, right? Like even weirder than a lot of these movies that they're spoofing and paying homage to, right? Like it's like certain parts, especially towards the end, it's just like, what the fuck is going on here? So I will say this. I'll say that, there was a point, and it may have been right at the middle of the movie where the van is driving by. Well, there's 2 points where I did laugh at this. It wasn't often, but when the guy ran the van into the tree. Like, yeah, that one is. I was like, oh, yeah. That came out of nowhere, and then you never see. And we'll get in. I'm sure we'll mention it, but you never understand why he did that. He's just driving along, and then oh shit, and veers it straight into a tree. But it goes along with the harebrained, what the fuckery of this. I think with this movie. And there was also one where he's driving the same van, I guess. And he tosses the kid out of literally tosses him out on the road. That happens 2 or 3 times. Driving. Some of the quick stuff that we usually throw out there. Obviously, this is rated R. Total runtime of 1 hour and 37 minutes. It actually debuted at Sundance Film Festival January 23rd of 2001, and then I think July 27th of 2001 is where it made its debut in New York City. I don't know if it ever really got a pure, true, full release because that weekend of July 27th through the 29th, which I guess is considering its opening weekend, it only played in 2 theaters. I'm going to assume that must have just been in New York. It only expanded out to about 12 theaters that I can tell here by Labor Day weekend it's gone. So it didn't play very long or in very many theaters. So because of that, it only made a worldwide gross of just slight of $300,000. So it made no money, but it barely played anywhere, right? Honestly, that's kind of impressive considering that it only played in like 2 or 3 theaters that it made that much. But like we normally do, I've got the top 10 in the box office that weekend. So this is the weekend of July 27th through the 29th, 2001. Let's see where Donnie was, what he was watching this weekend back in 01. Alt 1, as we like to say here. Alt 1. Number 10, Shrek. The first one was in its 11th week and still raking. Yeah. Number 9, Scary Movie 2. Number 8, The Fast and the Furious. The beginning of that dreadful franchise. Actually, it was in its 6th week at this point, but yeah, it was all the rage that summer of 01. Alt 1. Number 7, Cats and Dogs. Fuck, I don't remember that at all. Number 6, Dr. Dolittle 2. Number 5, The Score. Number 4, Legally Blonde. That one, yeah, that was one, like, God knows, hopefully we never have to watch that movie for this, but because that's not our fare, right? But that one, no, it's not. That's one of those movies that's weird, like in the sense of like I've never watched it, don't care to watch it, but like, boy, the people that love that movie love that fucking movie, man. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to that. Like, no. It's one of those ones where like it actually made money and it's beloved. Like it's weird like that, It's like in a cult way, in a way. Number 3, here's another one, America's Sweethearts. Yeah. Number 0. Number 2, Jurassic Park 3, which was raking in its 2nd week. Yeah. And then number 1 by a landslide in its opening weekend, the first remake of Planet of the Apes, which I can tell you, I was one of the ones that went and saw that weekend because I was always a huge Planet of the Apes fan. So I know that I went and saw that weekend. Just think, dude, we're only this particular weekend we're talking about here, we're 2 months shy, give or take, of 9/11 going down. That's crazy.
It's probably before I got crowd crazy, and I was
9/11 did it to you.
You know, probably before I could,
not go to big crowd things. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Crowd crazy.
I can't. Yeah, before I went crowd crazy, I just can't deal with that shit. I can't deal with it anymore. It's crazy.
Well, the older you get,
Mr. Projectionist, stop the show. Here's great news you ought to know. We've just got a shipment of taste-thrilled treats, all tip-top quality and delicious eats. There are hot dogs and popcorn and candy galore. There's soft drinks and coffee and a whole lot more. So direct your steps to our refreshment stand to enjoy the finest snacks in all the land.
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So I hopped over to audible.com and I typed in summer camp. So this is kind of a throwback to a couple of years ago when we did Camp Spook Show, because I think I did this a couple of times. But I think we have some new installments here under summer camp, Donnie, and these are just for you. Because we all know, especially the long-time listeners know, Donnie loves a good book, but not as much as he loves romantic novels. And the first book that we have right here off the top is book 3 of the Summer Fling series, called The Summer Camp Swap.
What the fuck is that?
It looks terrific. By Kate Nolan, and it's a short listen too. It's only about a little under 4.5 hours long, dude. So maybe you can stomach that.
No. Nah, I can't. I can barely stomach your plot summaries.
Yeah. We've got Camp, a novel by Elaine Wolf. That one is just under 6.5 hours long. And then, what the fuck is this? A paranormal romance box set. God, why is there so many, romance novels with summer camp and shit? This one's called Shifter Academy Summer Camp. It looks like a whole book series, 4 or 5 books all together. And this is by Lisa Daniels, and it's almost 12.5 hours long. So, God, that looks terrible. All these look terrible. What am I saying? All of them just look horrible. Maybe we pulled some better ones back during Camp Spook Show. Go listen to those episodes and tell us if we're right or wrong there. But anyways, to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/spookshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow to listen to your free audiobook. The way it works is you go sign up, audibletrial.com/spookshow. You get a free credit. You use that credit to get a book. And even if you cancel Audible, you get to keep the book. You've helped us out. You got a free book out of it. I mean, we couldn't. I mean, we're basically, in a roundabout way, paying you to listen to us and get a free book, right? It's win-win for everybody. I'm going to go back to IMDb and click on plot summaries and see what pops a hole. Donnie, you're going to love it.
No.
We got a short one. We got a short.
I quit.
I quit everything.
I quit.
I'm done. I've got a short one, then I got a long one. You're going to get both. Set on the last day of camp in the hot summer of 1981. Hot. A group of counselors. Counselors? What the fuck is counselors? A group of counselors try to complete their unfinished business before the day ends. All right, here's the longer one. Let me get a sip of water here.
Shit.
Before I start. Here we go. Yeah, I'm going to go smoke. I thought you quit 15 years ago. Yep. This one was contributed by Huggo. It's August 18th, 1981, the last day of the 8-week summer camp at Camp Firewood. 8 weeks, motherfucker. Are these type of camps a real thing? Where you just go for the whole fucking summer? I mean, I never did anything
they
like
probably were way back then.
Maybe they don't
I
do
think
it like
now,
that. Yeah.
I
don't know. Maybe it's still a thing. If you're listening out there and you know that this is still a thing, let us know, because I never had that experience. I went for a few days once, and I never went to even a week-long camp. But as far as I know,
I went to 2 weeks.
A 2-week camp?
Yeah, it was the same one that you went to.
Okay. But yeah, I never even heard of one that would be fucking 8 weeks long. Anyways, the camp counselors still have many tasks to accomplish on this last day, leading to the culmination of camp this night, the talent show. But most of them, including the camp director Beth, have other things on their mind, namely romantic relationships and in most cases sex. Beyond some other issues, for most, it's either doing it with the ones they haven't done it with yet, doing it for the first time this camp season, and or pursuing who they believe is their true love, The problem in the latter category being that most often the object of their affection doesn't return that affection in quite the same way. Boy, that's a long way to get to the fucking point, isn't it?
Jesus.
These we're not done. These these romantic and sexual endeavors overtake their tasks this day, and in preparation for the talent show. The show not only is threatened, but the lives of all at camp are in jeopardy with an external issue which comes to Beth's attention at the last minute. Thanks for that, Huggo. So, yeah, I mean, like, I think for me, where you start with this one is the soundtrack. It's not like a Dazed and Confused level soundtrack, but there's some good cuts in here that really put it in that time frame, right?
Yeah, you get an instrumental of Beth from Kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was kind of cool. I'll give him that.
I think even the character that they were talking about was named Beth, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. Janine Garofalo's. Janine Garofalo's character was Beth, but you're right. It's the instrumental version because Kiss never kicks in and starts singing. So maybe they only had enough in the budget. Like, can we get just the music? Everybody knows what the song is. Can we just get the music? All right.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Gene Simmons and his guys don't come cheap. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a list of the whole soundtrack in front of me because I don't know whether it was. Well, actually, no, here it is, and I believe it was. Was it released? I'm looking real quick. No, I don't see where it had an official release. But here's a list of some of the songs that were there. Jane by Jefferson Starship. That's a great title. Jukebox Hero by Foreigner. There actually was. Well, okay, I guess that was the song that was played in the credits. Wet Hot American Summer. It was like a self-titled song. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Love Is All Right Tonight by Rick Springfield. Turn Me Loose by Loverboy. Then Beth, the instrumental part. Harden My Heart by Quarter Flash. I mean, lots of early, late 70s, early 80s stuff of the time period. So it's a great soundtrack, and I think it definitely helps this movie along for sure at parts.
Yeah, I'd say that, that certainly helps. I don't really kind of go off a soundtrack, but, that certainly helps. Like, I don't really pay attention to it a whole lot. Like, I know Tiana and Smoke do, and you do as well. But
this one to me though, it's different than say like, well, let's talk about the interstitial, in a John Carpenter movie or something where that's a big part of what's going on, and you notice it. Then there's like some movies that are kind of made more by it, and this isn't like your traditional score soundtrack in the sense of like these are just some good drops, So I think in a movie like this, it kind of does help put you in that time frame, where like you're
sort of like
thinking 1981.
So this will probably come up on Cold Corner maybe sometime. Is another soundtrack is Last Action Hero.
Yeah, well, that is a good one. It seems like that's a movie that has been nominated too. Yeah, we definitely need to get to that one. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Yeah, that may be a better soundtrack than it is a movie, and
Probably, absolutely, probably. I mean, I always enjoyed that movie, but I know that like it's probably not high up on the Schwarzenegger, canon, right? Either.
Listen, there are so much worse movies. True.
I just know that one wasn't. That was a failure, and it's never been looked upon as like one of his greatest. But I always enjoyed it, even back when it came out. I always enjoyed
liked it. Yeah. And honestly, I'd much rather be talking about Last Action Hero than Wet Hot American Garbage.
This isn't going to be one. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to save what I was just about to say for when we do the Spookshow Awards and the 6th anniversary, because this was a big moment over the past year, and I'm not gonna spoil that for you.
All right.
I'll just say this: if you care to go back and listen to a moment. Go back and listen to the Purge election year, that episode that we did damn near a year ago. I think it came out like in November. Oh, it was on election day. It was like right at election day last year. So it was early November last year. Go check that one out. That's all I'll tell you. I love that part in this movie though, where they plan. It's like this unnecessary conversation where they plan to meet each other back here at this camp in 10 years. But they get into this granular detail of like, what time should we meet? I don't know, 9. Well, how about 9:30? That'll give us all a little bit of time to get here. Like, it's like, what the fuck are we doing? It's like 5 minutes of the film where they're just trying to decide what time they're going to meet in 10 years. And that actually does pop back up in the post-credits scene. I don't know if you hung around for. There was a brief.
I did not.
Okay,
no,
yeah. There was a brief post-credit scene at the very end where it says 10 years later, and it's most of them now dressed like 1991, right? The way people the hair and they're dressed like it's 1991 now. And then one of the dudes shows up late. He's like, I thought we said 9:30, and then somebody's like, no, we said 9. We said 9 o'clock. That way, when we would all be here by 9:30. And they're like, oh, and then that's it. It's like a very brief, little.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. How about that? I mean, talk about these little random cuts and just of randomness that they do. When a few of them go into town, all of a sudden it just devolves into them doing cocaine, heroin. They rob an old lady for no reason.
Yeah, they buy drugs from a dude in an alley.
Yeah, like they're just doing they buy like a fucking brick of cocaine, and then it shows them in like a flop house shooting heroin, and then they just go back to the camp like, hey, we went to town and had some ice cream and burgers. Like, what the fuck was that? I love that shit. Like, that's the kind of kookiness that I appreciate. That's my kind of comedy right there, where it's just like, what the fuck is this? Like, it has nothing to do with anything. Like, there's that one part where the dudes, I forget what was happening, but the dudes do something, and they're like, I'll see you later, all right. And then you notice that a few of the guys just kind of go off to the left, and they're standing next to a building, and then the other guy's like, okay, see you later, and then he walks over there and joins them, and all they're doing is standing against a wall with their noses on the wall. Like, they're in the background. They just walk away, and then they just stand there with their noses on the wall, like, for no reason. I was like, what the fuck is this? What are they doing? But it's way back in the background. Like, you got to be like, kind of paying attention. Yeah. Shit like that. Or that radio DJ kid that never took a bath, and he's narrating like he's on the radio, but then it turns out this radio isn't even connected to anything, and I guess he's crazy. I don't know what the hell.
I don't know, man.
I think your favorite scene, though, was probably, all I'm going to say is this: Bradley Cooper in the woodshed.
Oh, Jesus.
Is that where it lost you?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
to each their own.
Well, we had talked about, this being his debut. Yeah. What a debut.
Yeah.
And you get railed in a woodshed.
I do like when his friends are like, yeah, we need to get their friend McKinley. We got to get McKinley laid. Then they follow him out in the woods, and all of a sudden they're out in the river, like getting married. Bradley Cooper's character, Ben, and McKinley, the other guy, they're just all of a sudden like they're just straight up getting married, like a gay couple getting married. It's just like, what the fuck? And then you think there's going to be this big retaliation, like, oh, we're going to get him, he's gay, and then all they do is just give him a couch or something. Like, hey, here's the gift. It's like a wedding gift or something. I guess that's playing off the 80s stereotype of let's bash on the gay dude, but they're all totally accepting of it as a joke, right? But and then what you mentioned earlier, where like when something happens with a kid, and then they just keep dumping them on the side of the road. I think it happens at least 2, maybe 3 times.
Yeah,
where it's Paul Rudd's character, like which was his name, Andy. Yeah, his name was Andy. Where he just keeps loading the kids up, and then I guess driving them down the street and chucking them out of the side of the van.
I only recall it once, but maybe
it happens. It does happen a second time at least. I'm thinking maybe even 3, but definitely a second time, because there's another. It's a quick cut too. It's just like because the first time you kind of see it play out. He takes them, see him driving down the road, open up, the kid rolls out, and they keep going. Right. It happens again, but it's quicker. Kid says something, and all of a sudden you see him dumping them again, and then they move on real quick. So I guess they just established that this is the thing they're going to do: just dump kids on the side of the road. I love the talking can of vegetables. And I'm sure anyone with a keen ear that has ever watched Bob's Burgers or that show Archer that's been on FX forever notices the voice of J. John Benjamin as the can of vegetables, because that dude's been Bob and Bob's Burgers and on Archer forever. So yeah, like he's got a really recognizable cartoon voice. If you hear him, you know who it is. And yeah, that was him in a really small. Maybe even, I don't remember, it might even have been uncredited in this thing, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's him. Then eventually they leave the kids. There was a whole thing with the kids on the rapids. The one dude wants to go back to camp and get laid, so he just fucking like, all right, y'all go have fun. And then the other guy that's in the boat, the counselor that's in the boat with the kids going down the rapids, he's just like, the only one that can navigate these rapids is Victor. I got to go back and get him. And he just leaves the fucking kids on the rapids. I love when they get to the part where like they're going, what was it? The Big Canyon Gorge or whatever the fuck they called it on the rapids. But then it's going slow as owl shit. And not, they're like, they're going to die on the gorge. And it's just them like right there. And it keeps cutting back to them. Like they're right on the cusp of going off, but they're not going off. And then finally the dude comes back to save them. They don't show it. Oh God, Victor, you're the only one that can save them. And it cuts to him running down to save the kids. And then the other guy standing there like, oh my God, this is incredible. He's saving every one of them. And then it cuts to them coming out all safe and dry. And so he saved them all, but you never see what happens or how it happened. One of my favorite quotes was David Hyde Pierce's bit is right towards the end where like there was another subplot. There's weird subplots in this thing, but the other subplot where there's a space satellite Skylab that's going to crash to Earth, and apparently they're the only ones that can stop this thing. And right as it's about to, like, they realize that they're in danger, that they may not be able to stop this thing. He's looking at the numbers, and he just nonchalantly says, "Oh, fuck my cock." Really, but it wraps up with the big talent show at the end, which is probably about the last 15 minutes or so of random stupidity, and then which is honestly. We are a spoiler podcast. Honestly, this is one of those ones you should probably see for yourself, in my opinion, because to me, comedy is subjective, right? Like, what I find funny, Donnie ain't going to find funny, vice versa, in some regards, right?
Yeah.
So these are those kind of things where, like, I think it's harder for us to talk about in that sense than, like, because something like this that might be funny to us, you might watch this and be like, dude, this is ass. What is this? So it's totally subjective, and that's why I think it's harder to review comedies and give a fair rating to it, because you either find this funny or you don't. It's as simple as that, in my opinion. So this one wraps up in a weird way, but it really, it's just the whole thing is kind of weird in a lot of ways. And in some other ways too, it felt like an SNL skit that they didn't know how to end quite well. Because to me, it felt like one movie for about half, maybe more. And then it started to feel like a different movie for the rest of the way, where it was kind of more chaotic and frenetic. Like, there's lots of goofy shit going on.
Kind of erratic.
Yeah, like it just kind of jumps around so much that, like, I know it's like all these different threads and subplots kind of coming together a little bit, story-wise, but that was a little not cohesive to me. So if
I mean, it's hard for me to put together a cohesive thought. It was like being in my own mind.
Which is a dangerous, dangerous place. Yeah. But I think that's, to me, I mean, I guess we'll go ahead and get into the ratings and our final thoughts and everything. To me, this is one of those kind of movies, like I said earlier, you have to be in the mood for it. If you're not in the mood for this shit, you may not like it. But if you're in the mood for a silly, kind of throwback, spoofy comedy, think Meatballs meets Naked Gun, kind of, in a way, right, with the spoofy stuff. It's a weird mix, but if you're in the mood for that kind of thing, I think you'll enjoy it. If you're not, at least it's got an impressive cast, right?
Yeah.
For me, on the Cult Corner scale, though, I don't know exactly where to put it, but I mean, I enjoy it. It's not. I've seen it before. It's not something I'd watch all the time. I say 2.5. I'll say 2.5 stars for me, and that's being fair, just because of all the things I've said. So, what do you say? What's your thoughts and your rating on it?
So yeah, I kind of looked back at my rating for Summer Camp, which is actually the worst summer camp movie that we watched.
And it is comparable, but that movie is shit.
So I remember texting you when I was watching Wet Hot American Summer, and I was just like, "Man, this movie sucks. What is this?" But anyway, just kind of moving on after just trying to keep an open mind. Getting lost and, just kind of, at least it's got, the soundtrack, but still yet. I didn't really enjoy it as much as you did, but also I can't shit on it either because it's not summer camp. Summer camp was dreadful.
Oh, that's goddamn
awful. Yeah, that's the floor.
Yeah.
But this wasn't it. I'm going to go 1.5 stars, and I think that's fair because, kind of looking back on, not really so I'm comparing it to
I think it's fair to compare it. I think it's fair to compare it to just on the Cult Corner. That summer camp from what was it, 1979? Yeah. Summer camp and Meatballs from the same year.
Yeah.
So we did both those, and these are very much like that.
Which, yeah, I mean, I could watch Meatballs again, but I don't ever want to see this.
I will say, to be fair, though, to this one, that has Bill Murray in it. You know, I like Paul Rudd and Bradley Cooper and Amy Poehler and the rest of these folks, but they ain't Bill Murray. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, certainly.
That being said, they were paying homage to it, so you know they're not necessarily trying to be that either.
Yeah. And it's not really about that for me. It's just like exactly like you said. You know, if you're not in the mood for it, you know, you're probably not going to like it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really, so yeah. I don't get why this is a classic, at least to me.
I'd say honestly, that kind of thing. Sometimes I think those labels get thrown on stuff simply because it was a failure at the time. You know, like this thing made no money. The critics didn't like it, and it was just fucking silly and juvenile for 2001, I guess, or at least for the people that watched this thing. The 5 people that watched it in 2001 didn't like it, but I think it was one of those
as far as
in years and the following years with that cast, I think it got more eyes on it.
Yeah, I think this is among the lowest rated that I have rated any Cult Corner. I think Summer Camp I gave 3/4 of a star, not even a full star, and then Blackula I gave 2 stars, and Snakes on a Plane I gave 2 1/4. Yeah. But I clearly like those 2 movies much better than this one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. Well, I'm at 1.5 stars.
And the funny thing is, like, not that you would sit down, you probably wouldn't sit down and watch this again on your own volition.
No.
Right? But if you did, you know, I'm going to give it another chance, a year, 2, 3 years down the road. You might see it differently. You never know. But
yeah, I doubt that'll happen. But
will this fall? I don't have that in front of me right now. Will this fall in a re-rating? I don't think so. Right? Like, I think we kind of have a cutoff.
No.
For the 6th anniversary, so this won't make the cut, or maybe. I don't know. We'll find out once we get there, I guess. But this may or may not make the cut. I don't remember where we had that dividing line, because sometimes it's not soon enough to, you know, re-rate it. But we'll see. We'll see what if anything changes, and also we'll see if we can get Tiana and Smoke's 2 cents, and maybe even Will's 2 cents by then, because this is one of those ones that Will nominated in the past, and I think he said he would like to sit down and watch it, so he might even be able to throw his 2 cents in on this one at some point. But so with this being Cult Corner, we don't do anything but the Cult Connection. So Donnie,
where's the Cult Connections? Come out and play.
All right.
The Warriors is the movie that keeps on giving, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, more on that later.
Yep. Let me cut this off.
So all right. Just keeps going. All right. So on the cast side, we've got Elizabeth Banks. She dates back to when we covered Brightburn, and that was kind of early on.
Yeah, that was a while back.
And she also dates when we covered this was a Crapsterpiece movie, movie 43.
Oh, God.
So she was in that.
Yeah, you know what? Like, we were talking about the connections here, and we mentioned Elizabeth Banks, you know, off air. Yeah. And I didn't even think about that because I didn't have to watch that one. And, you know,
that's
it's
right,
funny you mentioned that.
It.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But it is funny that you mentioned that movie, because I went to the fucking Dollar Tree the other day, and they have a random assortment of Blu-rays and DVDs at Dollar Tree. And what do you know? I found like 5 copies of movie 43 in there.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it, but it was there. $1.25.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, save your money.
Yep. That's enough. We're done with this shit. Before we leave, one more thing before.
That's for making me watch this movie.
Nah, fuck you. Before we close up shop on this episode, we have to mention what we're watching next week. Onward and upward, my brother. Onward and upward. Much higher heights. We shall have next week, because it's my pick. And I know that, ironically, I picked this one and it won. So 2 weeks in a row, it's my nominations. But this one is just my turn in the rotation. So we're going to be sitting down. I think it's a perfect time, too, with the new Alien flick.
Hell yeah.
That just came out. And we're going to be talking about Alien, the original. Ridley Scott classic from 1979. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think, look, I enjoyed Wet Hot American Summer. Donnie did not, but I think we can both say right now, spoiler alert, we both love Alien. So we'll get into that next week.
Straight up, yeah.
We'll get into that next week, and hopefully we have at least Tiana and Smoke, maybe even Will, you never know. So that's it. So until next week when we watch Alien, for Tiana, Smoke, Will, Donnie, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show, and we'll talk to you next week.